Okay, so get this right. The other day, I'm trying to watch that documentary, the one everyone's talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and for the life of me, I cannot remember my streaming password.
Oh, no.
Total blank. And it really got me thinking, like, in this weird world of shared accounts and everything, where's the line between trust and, I don't know, just needing to watch the next episode?
You're totally hitting on something there. I mean, it's kind of wild how a password, something that seems so, like, basic,
Right.
can become this huge GE relationship thing, boundaries and all that.
For real.
Yeah.
So that's actually what we're diving into today. Should sharing passwords be like the ultimate sign of trust in a relationship?
Exactly. And full disclosure, the source material we're working with is actually a proposed outline for another podcast on this very topic.
Super meta, right?
Totally.
So this outline, it dives right in, which I appreciate. Starts by defining trust because it's obviously not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
100%. They emphasize how important communication and transparency are, obviously.
So-
But those can be so different for every couple, you know? Like some people sharing finances, that's like the ultimate trust fall.
Huge.
While others, it's all about being emotionally open, every little
Mhm.
thought. Passwords just add this whole other layer on top of all that.
Okay, so then where does that leave me, right?
Mhm.
If I'm a little weird about sharing passwords, does that automatically make me shady? Or is it okay to draw a line there?
That's where things get really interesting. Our source material really breaks down the arguments on both sides for A&D against sharing.
Leonie.
So on the one hand, right, more transparency, in theory at least, should mean a closer bond. Less insecurity, less wondering what the other person's up to.
Right, right.
And let's not forget the practical stuff, think joint accounts, all of that.
For sure. But I can see how easily that practical stuff could become, like dot controlling.
Oh, absolutely. That's the flip side. What feels totally reasonable to one person.
He'd feel like a total invasion to the other.
Exactly. The outline really stressed that couples have to, like, actually talk about what feels trustworthy to each of them, because it might not be the same thing.
Huge red flag if you're assuming.
Huge.
Okay, so that's the sharing is caring side, kind of. What about the argument against sharing passwords?
So for starters, there's this whole idea of privacy, right? Like,
Yeah.
as individuals, we need boundaries, even in relationships.
Totally.
And then there's that risk of things going too far, codependency even, or like the outline mentions, potential for someone to use that information, not in a good way.
Oh, yeah. Talk about worst case scenario. It's like 1 minute you're taking a quick peek at a text, and next thing you know, you're obsessively checking their every move online.
Which, let's be real, is not about trust. That's straight up anxiety for everyone involved.
No one's having a good time at that point.
Not at all. It actually undermines the whole point of a healthy relationship.
I thought our source material made a really interesting point about all this. Maybe it's not really about the passwords themselves. It's about what we each consider shareable versus private in the first place.
100%. And having those conversations up front
Mm-hmm.
before resentment builds up, before someone feels betrayed.
Way better than damage control later on.
Exactly.
So if passwords aren't the be-all, end-all test of trust, what are some healthier ways to build that foundation?
Yeah.
The outline mentioned like checking in with each other's feelings regularly,
Important.
doing things together, just generally creating that safe space to be vulnerable.
And honestly, those are great tips for any relationship, passwords or not. It all boils down to open, honest communication.
Yeah.
Way more effective than any amount of like digital snooping, you know?
Could not agree more.
Sure.
So to everyone listening, I'm betting this sparks some thoughts about your own relationships, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're ride or die password sharers or you've got your own system, here's a question to chew on. Could your relationships benefit from a conversation about boundaries? Like what feels good to share, what you'd rather keep to yourself?
Love that.
And does that even involve passwords at all?
It's a really interesting thing to consider, especially now. I mean, the whole world is obsessed with data privacy these days.
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't our closest relationships be the places where we're the most thoughtful about that? And not just like what we're doing online, but how we're treating each other's inner worlds in general.
Now, there's a thought to leave you with.